Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Good to see you all. Welcome to Tanya and You Chapter 6. Happy Hanukkah. So good to see all the smiling faces this morning. Okay, so let's get right into it. We are continuing. We're moving along nicely through the earlier chapters of the Tanya. The Tanya is giving us the basics. The basis, not that it's basics, but it's the basics to the human psyche, how we function, and most importantly, how we serve God. So, chapter 6 begins going back to what we began with in chapter 1. So, in chapter 1, we introduced the idea of the two souls. And the two souls sounds a little bit ambiguous, a little spiritual. But the way we see it, it's like two operating systems. We have the Mac and the PC. We have the Nefesh Elokit, the godly soul, the divine soul, the altruistic soul. And then we have the Nefesh Habahamis, which is translated as the animalistic soul, their natural soul. Two different souls. And each of these souls have an operating system. And we began in chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5 discussing the operating system of the godly soul, the functionality. We spoke about the intellect, Chachma binadat, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and that develops into emotions, the 7 emotions that a person has, which are born, which are developed through our understanding, through our intellect. We understand that something is lovable, and therefore we have a feeling developed in our hearts to love this, to want this, and vice versa with something which is something we should stay away from. We spoke about the garments of the soul, thought, speech, and action, how it's expressed, and the importance of this, and how we can connect to God through this. We spoke about the importance of studying Torah, the unity that we have through the study of Torah. This was all to understand our divine soul. In chapter 6, we say, okay, now that we understand the way the divine soul functions, now let's take a look at the animalistic soul. And there are many comparisons between them. And there are some differences, important differences. They are the same. The comparison is that the functionality is pretty much the same. It also has intellect and emotions. But it's very different. Because the divine soul, another word that we could use for the divine soul is transparency. It's transparent, which means we use the word holy, kadosh. It's holy, it's godly. And we don't stand in the way. We're transparent. You see straight through the person and you see the godly act. When we use our thoughts, speech, and action to express our godly soul, we see the godly soul. We don't see the person who is doing it. The person who's doing it is transparent. It's like you have a glass of water. You pour water in the glass. You don't see the glass. You see straight through the glass. You see the water. You know what the content of the glass is. Doesn't get in the way. That is the godly soul. And it's godliness in the world as well, where you see something, you see straight away, this is godly. This is its purpose. No question about it. You take physical parchment from an animal, nothing holy about it, and you write certain words on it of the mezuzah, of a Torah scroll, of tefillin, and now what do you see? You see holiness. You see godliness. God forbid to take a Torah scroll and put it on the floor. Parchment, you can stack it on the floor, who cares? But once it's holiness, you see straight through it. It's transparent. You see the godliness. But then we have the animalistic soul. And in the language of the chapter 6 of the Tanya, we call it in Hebrew, Sitra Achara. It's actually Aramaic. which means the other side. It's like the other team, the other side. And the other side lacks transparency. It gets in the way. You want to see what the content of the cup is, but I have to look inside because the cup itself, the walls of the cup get in the way. It's blocking. And that's what it means, the other side. It's not holiness. You see it, you don't see straight through it. You don't see the divine energy within it. You don't see the purpose, the mission. You get in the way. And on a human level, we can use our thoughts, speech, and action to try to do something or to do something, but because our motivation is self-centered, we are part of the picture over here. How do I feel about it? How does this make me feel? So it's not completely transparent. There is what I'm doing, and then there is I'm doing it perhaps for good reasons, but ultimately I'm in the way. There isn't that direct line. There isn't that transparency. That's the animalistic soul. It's self-centered. It's egotistic. And one of the powerful ideas of chapter 6 over here to take note is that generally we can kind of divide the world, our actions, into 3 categories, right? Typically, this is how we see it. Category number 1 is holy acts, good acts, divine acts, a mitzvah. I took a coin, I put it into the charity box. I opened the prayer book and I said a prayer. I called a friend and I, share some good words. I said happy Hanukkah. I visited someone in the hospital. I did something good, clearly something divine, something positive. That is category number 1. Category number 2 is polar opposite of that. It's negativity. It's a sin. It's something bad, something which is clearly not godly. An emotion, I got angry, I got upset, I yelled, I did something bad, a negative characteristic. There are certain things in this world which are clearly negative. They stand, their whole existence is a lack of godliness. I'm going against godliness, hatred, things like that. That is category number 2. And then there is the rest of the world, right? Category number 3 generally is seen as, just mundane, as we say. In Hebrew, we say parav. You know what parav is, right? There's meat, there's dairy, then there's parav. Neither or, right? You can eat it with your dairy, you can eat it with your meat. It's parav, right? It's a good piece of fish, an egg, water, fruits and vegetables, right? Parav. Most of the things that we do throughout the day seemingly fall into this 3rd category. It's the category of parav, the category of the mundane. What's the mundane? Just going about life. I am eating, I'm drinking, I'm shopping, I'm working, I'm strolling, I'm making conversations with people, I'm reading some interesting books, I'm watching my, right? Just going about life. Am I doing something bad? Is it negative? Is it a sin? No, not at all. Is it a mitzvah? No, it's not a mitzvah. It's just mundane. This is category number 3. The Tanya argues in chapter 6, there is no 3 categories. There's only 2 categories. He puts category number 2 together, puts category number 3 together with category number 2. He says, mundane is also sitra achra, the other side of holiness. Not that it's sin, not that it's bad and evil, but when we understand the definition of sitra achra, the lack of transparency. In other words, anytime we do something and the motivation is our self-centeredness, that is a lack of holiness. Holiness means transparency, that we see clearly this is a divine act. So the lack of that, if it's void of transparency of that mission-oriented type of act, it's already the other side. So there are two sides to the coin. There isn't three sides. It's either holiness or not, or it's unholy. Yes, it's mundane. It's not a sin per se, but its motivation, it derives from the animalistic soul. That's where it comes from. That's the motivation. Why am I doing this? Why am I taking a stroll? Oh, I'm taking it because it feels good. Because I want it. Okay. That's called the other side. It's not holiness. I'm doing it because the same act, right? Taking a stroll because I need to freshen my mind, because I could be a better person. I could serve God better. Oh, now that's transparency. Now that same stroll is something divine, something holy. Another word used for Sitra Achira that Tanya uses, and you find this in Kabbalah a lot, is the word kalipa. Kalipa means a shell, a peel of a fruit, a shell of a fruit, like a nut or a banana, or right? We have a shell, and it covers over, so you don't see the content, you don't see the fruit itself. It's covering over. So the Tanya says the truth is there are two types of shells. There are two types of klipa. There is the regular klipa, let's say the klipa of a nut, where it's hard and you can't see through it. You can't eat it. You got to spit it out. You're right. But then there's something that's called klipas noiga. It's like a shining klippa, a klippa that's somewhat the content behind the klippa, behind this peel, behind this shell, is kind of noticeable. It's shining. It's like you have that curtain where the lights are on and there's a curtain covering it, but you kind of see the light come through, right? We're always looking, even my family, our kids wake up early, so we always have to say, you got to find those what are they called? Those blinds that blackout shades. Is that what it's called? Where you wake up in the morning, it might be light outside, but the shades are so thick and put up in a way where there's zero light coming. Zero light, right? The children can wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and it's dark in the room. You go back to sleep, right? So blackout shades, that's what it's called, right? So you have blackout shades. Blackout shades let no light in, zero light coming through. But then there are regular shades where it diminishes the light, but you can see, it's light outside, it's dark outside. You kind of see through, and that's where he differentiates between the two types of klippa. There are certain klippa, the negativity, which are blackout shades. There's no way any light is coming through. Something which is clearly forbidden. Something which is sinful. Whether it is sinful between one human and another human, whether it's hatred, acting in a way we should not, it hurts another person. These are extremely, obviously sinful and negative acts. Or it can be also between man and God, right? Something which is a sin from the Torah, right? Someone does something which the Torah says you should not do. That's clearly it's a sin. It's something which is a negative act. That is klippa that light doesn't shine through. But then there is klipas noga, the shining shell, a shell that maybe is edible, something that we can kind of see the holiness, the light behind it. And that is the category of things that are klippa. I would say this is category number 3, which are klippa. However, after the fact, we may be able to elevate it. In other words, if we do something which our motivation is self, it's not godly, it's not transparent. We kind of feel ourselves part of this illustration, part of this picture, then it's klippa. It's not godliness, it's not holiness. However, if it's something which is mundane, not something actual sinful, then we're able to elevate it. How do we elevate it? We say, okay, now that it was done, I could use that out as a stepping stool to be a better person, to be closer to God, from my service in God. So that works. So the shine, the light is able to come through retroactively. In other words, like this. There are certain klipa that we do that no matter what, even retroactively, we're not able to elevate. If someone, God forbid, eats non-kosher food, right? They have a cheeseburger, which is clearly in the Torah is forbidden. The cheeseburger is klipa. And then I say, you know what? Thank God I had this really satiating lunch, because now I can focus on my Torah class. I can study Torah better because I had a good lunch. But if the good lunch was something which is clearly klipa, was forbidden, so then you can't elevate. You can't elevate that food through later using it out for something good. However, if I had a kosher lunch, it was a tuna sandwich. It was kosher meat, kosher salami sandwich. But I lacked that transparency while I did it. In other words, why? If you ask me while I'm sitting there digging into my sandwich, hey, Mendel, why are you eating lunch today? Why am I eating lunch? I'm hungry. It tastes good. I enjoy it. I'm having a great time. Loving it. Is that transparency? No. That's me. I'm doing it for myself. That's animalistic soul. That is klipa. That's sitra achra. That's the other side. It's not holiness. It's mundane, but it's not holy. After I finish lunch, I sit down and I start to study Torah. And I say, you know what? I have such greater clarity. I have so much more motivation. I have so much I have so much energy now to study Torah because I had a good lunch. Oh, what did I just do now? Retroactively, I took that klipa, that mundane act, the self-centered act, and I elevated it to holiness. Because now it allowed me to do a mitzvah with that energy of something that up until this point was klipa. So that is what we refer to as klipa, but noiga. It's like a shining klipa. It's a klipa that has the ability to be transformed. It's only transformed once it's transformed, or at least it has the ability to be transformed. But others don't even have the ability to do that. Tanya also makes a very powerful statement in chapter 6 that talks about this transparency which is there in actuality and the transparency which is there in potential. And he says that there is a heightened level of transparency. In other words, we're using the word transparency in this context, meaning that a certain expression, a certain act, a thought, speech, and action, which I'm completely transparent. I'm just the conduit to get something done for God. It's clearly mission oriented. It's clearly this is being done for my service to God. I'm transparent over here. I don't take up any space. I'm not drawing any attention to self. Completely a holy act. Don't even mention my name. Don't give me any recognition. It's not about me. It's just about this act. I want to make sure this person is helped. It's not about me. I want to make sure that person is helped. I'm doing a certain mitzvah, not because it feels good, not because I enjoy it, only because it's the right thing to do for God. That is being transparent. Who has heightened level of transparency? Angels in heaven. They don't struggle, right? It's not about me, about you, about how I feel. It's just an expression of it's a godly energy. It's an expression of my devotion to God. Angels have that heightened level of transparency. Us human beings, we have that transparency in potential because we all have this godly soul. We have this godly soul. So in potential, we have this transparency. We have this bitul, this nullification of self. Even if we haven't reached that point where it's out in the open, this is the way we live with a heightened version of transparency, connection to God completely. But because we have this godly soul within us, it's there in potential, and that already allows us to bring some of this transparency to our action, thought, speech, and action as well. So there's this very interesting phenomenon we find in Jewish law. The Torah says that whenever there are 10 Jewish people coming together, Shchinta Sharia, there's a heightened level of divine energy in the room. Now, not necessarily is this connected to the idea of a minyan, of prayer of 10 men getting together, but this is 10 Jewish people, men, women, children, are in the room together. There's a certain godly energy that's in the room. Which, by the way, it also means it's not just, it also means a responsibility. There are 10 people in the room, hey, behave yourself. There's a godly presence over here, more than before. Obviously, God is omnipresent. God is everywhere, even with one person. But when there are 10 people, there's a higher level of godly energy in the room. But why? I may look at these 10 people and say, oh, look at this person. This person, I understand. They are a highly transparent person. They're a person who lives with their godly soul. They do so many mitzvahs. They're such wonderful people. I get that. I understand that you contribute some godly energy in the room. But look at that guy. He's also in the room. He is a good for nothing. What does he do? What godly act has this person done? But no, we don't say that. We say 10 people, godly energy. You know why? The Tanya says because we all have that in potential. Because we have the godly soul, even if it's hidden, even if it doesn't come out in the open, but because it's there, it's who we are, it's part of our DNA. So in potential, we have it. That is already enough that when 10 people get together with this potential, it already brings down this divine, this heightened divine state, divine energy. That's the powerful thing. Also, it kind of gives us a perspective of how to view another person. We can view them the way they act. And that's how society has to view people. You committed a crime, you go to prison, right? But then we also view them in their potential, which is if you ever go to student parent conferences, and not student parent, teacher parent conferences, and the teacher tells the parent, your child has a lot of potential. You're in trouble. Don't talk to me about potential. Tell me about how they're doing in class. But the point is that potential does mean a lot. The potential means it really defines the person, who they are. Yes, they may be not acting out on their potential, but the fact that you have this godly soul, you know what? Just tap into it. It doesn't take you don't have to change the child. They have it already. We have this godly soul within us. We have the ability to act in moment, or at least have moments in our day of that transparency where the godly soul is being expressed, even if it's not there in actuality all the time. And the rest of the day, unfortunately, we have our animalistic soul, and this is the way God created us. We have this struggle. But the moments that we are able to bring out that potential of the godly soul, that is already worth $1 million. And the Torah says, even when it remains in potential, this defines the person. And already we have the godly energy just because the potential of the godly spark is in the room. I know there's a question here. Just want to conclude with such an interesting story that happened yesterday. Here in New Orleans, we have, obviously, it's Hanukkah. Is it Hanukkah in Philadelphia as well? I believe so, right? So it's Hanukkah around the world. So here in New Orleans, it's Hanukkah as well. So we got to celebrate Hanukkah. So we actually brought some yeshiva interns, some yeshiva boys, who are here and helping us with all the functions and all the programs and the events. We'll throw in a little mention about tonight's event at Lakeside Shopping Center at 5:30. Beautiful Hanukkah celebration and menorah lighting for the last night of Hanukkah here in New Orleans. But throughout the week, we have lots of functions. We've been to nursing homes, we've been to hospitals, we've been to we had parties here at Chabad and around the city, the Riverwalk. There's so much going on. So one of the things that these yeshiva boys are doing is they are visiting some people in their homes, people who haven't been out to a Hanukkah function. Perhaps they don't even remember that it's Hanukkah today. Maybe they have a menorah, somewhere in their closet they got to dust off. It's been too many years since they've seen it. And to these people, we send them and say, you know what? Why don't you visit them in their home, light the menorah with them, sing some Hanukkah song, bring a dreidel, bring some gelt, and bring some Hanukkah spirit to people around the community. That's what they've been doing, and it's been wonderful. So they went to one particular person yesterday who I sent them to them. I said, you know what? This is a person who I met a number of years ago. He's not married Jewish. Doesn't really. He's not raising a Jewish family. He's not involved in the Jewish community. He's not a member anywhere. I don't think this person is really celebrating Hanukkah. Doesn't Why don't you knock on his door, see if they'll be willing to light the menorah with you? And I got this text later last night from this man, and he sends me a picture of him and the three boys with his menorah and a $1 million smile. I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful picture. And he told them that he hasn't done Hanukkah since he was a little child. As a little child, he did Hanukkah. And he remembered like one or two. I have a little dreidel, or you remember one or two Hanukkah songs. But he said it's been years, maybe 40, 50 years since he has celebrated Hanukkah. And he was in tears and so excited that they came to his house to celebrate Hanukkah. He had obviously many other holiday decorations around the house, but he had his menorah, and they were able to light Hanukkah together, Hanukkah menorah together. And I feel like this is when I was reading chapter 6. I thought of this. I said, you know what? This is what it means that we have that godly spark, that godly transparency, that godly soul within us. Sometimes only in potential, but it's always there. It's always there. Sometimes you got to awaken it. You got to have the opportunity to bring it to the open, but it's only there. So that is really the gist. There's so much more in chapter 6. Like I always say, highly recommended to read the chapter inside to get a better feel and understanding what it means for the animalistic soul, its functionality, the way it works. We weren't able to cover everything in the chapter. There's a lot more in the chapter about the difference between the emotions of the animalistic soul and the emotion of the godly soul. Does it begin from our mind, which develops our emotions, or does our emotions begin in the heart, and then it kind of convinces our mind that it should follow the heart? The godly soul really begins in the mind, and then it gets developed in the heart. So our hearts, our emotions are really guided and in sync with our understanding, our intellect. With the animalistic soul, it's the opposite. It's really an instinct that we convince ourselves that is good. So there are many other ideas in chapter 6 that you should take a look at. But for now, we'll suffice with this, and we'll continue next week with chapter 7. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, now's a good time. Happy Hanukkah to everyone. And I see there's perhaps someone raised their hand, perhaps. I wasn't sure who it was. Was it Dina?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rabbi
okay.
Mondo. All right, on page, all right, never mind. Page 42, when he's talking about the derivatives of klepa, the fourth one, brightness, noga, the one that can show some sparks of holiness, of
Yeah.
goodness. And they talk about it as a result from this, it's a secret of biblical tree of knowledge of good and evil. Are we talking about Adam and Eve and how they were the first beings to come to bring Hashem down and to hopefully make a home for, the beginning of that
Yes,
whole idea?
that is the reference, exactly.
So could that, well, they don't talk about, but I'm just wondering, that's what I thought of when he's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that it's about Adam and Eve, being the first beings to make a home for Hashem on earth. So that's the spark of brightness, the Noga.
Yeah. Well, the brightness is really the idea that it has the potential to be transformed, right? Like we said, there's certainly klippa that cannot be transformed, right? If it's something which is completely sinful, even later after the fact, you can't elevate it. It's like tied down. We'll talk about that next week, how it's tied down in the negative forces. But there's certain things that could be transformed. That's why it has a little shine to it. I'm not sure what you're
It's right on page 42.
What book are you looking at?
At our book, the Tanya.
42?
Yeah, page 42, chapter 6. It talks.
I have different page numbers. My page 42 is chapter 1.
No, wait. Oh, I just put the wrong. Well, it's in chapter 6. The